Welcome to Fast Fiction. Guest House Ghost Story. Now, there's no need for concern, girls. That was only old Mary Maloney. She's a nice old soul. Oh, she wouldn't hurt a fly. She used to live here, she did. You can just about set your clock by her, 6:30 or so every night. Except Sundays, of course. Out through the kitchen, down the steps to the yard, across the paddock, and up to the top of the hill. Oh, she must be 89 years old by now. 'Course she's been dead for about 20 of 'em. What's that, dear? Oh, don't be silly, you're no trouble at all. Come in and warm yourself by the fire. You may as well. There won't be another train for at least 2 hours. And it's a good 7 kilometres walk to the town. No, dear, sorry. I never got around to putting the phone on. Never took much to all those newfangled contraptions. Anyway, who would I want to talk to on one of those things? Haven't got many friends left now. They're all pushing up daisies. What is it? What? You want to plug in what? Your mobile? What's that then? Well, fancy that. And what do you do with it? You plug it into an electricity source. Well, of course, you're welcome. But as you can see, we still use the oil lamps. Well, we never saw any need for them to putting the fancy wires down, and somehow we got missed out on this side of the railway track. Yes, it is confusing. You'd be surprised how many people make the same mistake, getting off at Eviltown North instead of Eviltown South. But it's good for me, else I'd never see anyone at all, you see. Very lonely it can be here, believe me. Oh, look, there goes old Mary again. Do you see over there? Yep, making her way back. What's that? Oh, no, she's looking for David, her son. The one that got caught in that nasty accident. Well, it must be about 50 years ago now. Dear me, what am I thinking of you being visitors? You wouldn't have heard about it, would you? Oh, what a dreadful business that was, especially for poor old Mary. Well, David was her only child to survive out of the 4 births. Oh, yes, they used to lose a lot in those days, pet. Diphtheria, influenza, stillborn. See these lovely chrysanthemums? Grow beautiful, they do, being over the spot where the 3 other kiddies are buried. Just up there, behind the water pump. Cup of tea, loves? It's tank water. We had all the Wrigleys cleaned out last week and put a nice new wire net on top. No? Well, you don't mind if I do, eh? Yes, a nice lad David was, although perhaps he was a bit of a mother's boy after his father died. What? Oh, his father. Well, yes, he did, dear. How did you guess? Off the roof he went, trying to fix some loose tiles, straight into the chook house down there. Very messy that was too, let me tell you. Put me off of eggs for a week, it did. Feeling a bit tired, are you, love? Poor lamb. Well, look, come over to this chair over here then, by the fire. It's a lot more comfy, even though it is old. Look, you can see where old Mary's knitting needles used to scrape the sides. Oh, all right, dear, as you like. Of course, you can always stay the night if you want to. I've got plenty of room. You could have a nice hot bath and pop straight into bed. Lovely big tub it is. No, I didn't see her. Well, I was just a kiddie myself then, but she must have been a sight. All shriveled up like a walnut, they said. Now, where was I? Oh, yes, I was telling you about young David Maloney. No, dear, no trouble at all. I love a bit of a yarn when I'm able. What, lovey? Oh, bless you. No, David doesn't appear, as you put it. No, he doesn't appear. Well, he couldn't really, could he? I mean, well, there wasn't much of him left at the finish, was there? Oh, Lordy, I keep forgetting you're not from these parts. Well, what I meant was the corpse was such a mess. See, David usually got home by 6 o'clock. Well, unless he went for a quick drink with his workmates over at Gunneroo. Mary would have dinner ready and waiting, slippers in front of the combustion stove in winter, so they'd be nice and warm. That's right, love, it is the same stove. Oh, it cooks up a treat. Here, have a scone. Like I said, the minute twilight set in, old Mary would be off to the top of the hill to look for him. Same way as she did just now, like she did the night he died. But that night, of course, she couldn't see him, not till she saw the men carrying the body across the bridge. Well, she knew immediately what had happened. Her father had been brought home from the mine that way too, you see. Moaning and groaning he was. Took him a week to die on that big four-poster in the guest room. Course, we've changed the mattress and linen since then. Well, we had to. There was so much blood, see? Well, with David it was different, though. He was dead when they brought him home, so they laid him straight out in the parlour. Yes, that lovely walnut table through there. Do you see it? Beautiful piece of workmanship, isn't it? That's where they laid him. He looked real peaceful. Not that he was, mind. Well, he couldn't have been, could he? Not the way he died. You see, he attached himself to the pulley across the mine whilst he tried to fix part of the rig, but he lost his balance when it was right over the mine shaft. He tried to catch hold of the cable, but it swung round suddenly and sliced his hand right through. Oh, yes, pet, horrible it was. Right up into the air it went, the hand I mean, and landed in the long grass. They all tried to help the lad, of course, what with him screaming so much. Well, he would, wouldn't he? I mean, you can't blame him. And then he fell straight down the shaft. Oh, about 50 feet, I reckon. Broke his neck straight out. Made a mess of the rest of him, too, I understand. Every bone in his body was broke, and all his limbs twisted on round the wrong way. Oh, nasty. Feeling shaky, are you, dear? It must have been that long journey. Those trains are real bone shakers, aren't they? Real killers. Never been on one myself, of course, but that's what I hear. Real killers. It's odd about the hand, though, because everyone remembers seeing it come off, but no one could find it afterwards. Some say that a few weeks later a group of workers found the blooming thing while sitting around the pit head having their lunch. What? Well, some say they gave it to the dog, but you can't be too sure. I suppose you couldn't have blamed them too much if they had. I mean, what else could they do with it? After all, David had been long buried by then. I tell you what, though, there's a lot that say on the day of David's funeral, Rustler, his dog, came in whining and carrying on something shocking, carrying the hand in his mouth. Went right up to where his master lay out for burial and wouldn't budge. Fair pined away he did. The dog, I mean. Oh, very sad it was. He was such a lovely dog. Even Mary was fair shook up. She had him stuffed by young Howie Smith, the butcher. Howie used to go to those taxidermy classes at the CWA. He made a real good job on Rustler. He did too. Look, he looks a fair treat in the hallway. I'll show you later on. Now, what am I thinking of prattling on so? I'll have you girls getting nervous myself if I go on telling you stories like that. It's a good thing I'm not a gossip like Mrs. Jones over the road. Yes, her with a son who's a bit funny in the head. Well, he must be the way he collects all those old axe heads. Sometimes I can't sleep at night with some of the stories she's got to tell. But it serves no purpose, does it, frightening people like that? What's that, love? You don't feel well? Well, you do look a bit pale, I must say. Why don't you let me run you a nice hot bath, then you can lie down for a while in the guest room? No? Well, I'm sorry you feel like that, but I suppose if you've decided not to stay, I can't make you. Only you take care on the way back to the station, won't you, girls? You'll find the quickest way is along the track through Cemetery Road. I wouldn't take the highway. Far too much traffic. You hear such nasty stories these days. You have been listening to Guest House Ghost Story, written and narrated by Brianda Cross.